going 7 games. I think it's going to go back and forth all season.
Yeah, so Q, as you might imagine, these are numbers that I've looked into ad nauseum to try and find little, edges here and there in making predictions. And what the numbers show is that if you have the day in between games, the bullpen teams are favored. If you have the back-to-backs, it's the team that has the starting pitchers that are favored. You can sort of split the data however far back you want to go. The Dodgers have the advantage today because they're a Penn team and they had the day off. But in games 4 and games 5, I'm going to favor the Mets to win both of those games. And that's how I see these things shaking out.
I love it. I'm ready for it. Game 3 action, Dodgers and the Mets. Coming up, Carla vs. Joe. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio on the ESPN app.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check that your seats aren't in the visitor section first before buying tickets.
I'm so excited for this game. I can't believe you got us tickets.
Me too. Wait, are we on the wrong side?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
This is going to be a long game.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for the NFL.
Touchdown, Denver!
We bring you the biggest games every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night.
Oh, he's got the first down!
Plus, we'll broadcast more college football games than ever before.
He did what?
Live NFL and college football play here.
Unbelievable!
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Touchdown!
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Wednesday. Sunny the remainder of the day with a moderate breeze around 17 miles per hour coming out of the north-northeast and temps near 69. Tonight we will have clear skies and a wind speed of 10 miles per hour and be a little cold at 52. Sunny tomorrow and a high 70 with a gentle breeze. Sunshine Friday with a temp of 75. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore Portable Building Dealer, Panama City.
It's football season, and that boot store reminds you to roll tide. Go Noles, War Eagles, sick 'em dogs, and go Gators. Before the cold weather hits, shop that boot store for all your winter western wear and Carhartt work clothes to keep you warm on the job. That boot store, where God is good all the time. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 till 5, and Friday and Saturday, 9 till 5:30. Next to Bill Burkey at 15th Street, Panama City, that boot store.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899.
Electric scooters are fun, easy to use, and seemingly all over the streets. But several new studies find that e-scooters are also causing a growing number of serious injuries. One study by the CDC shows that 45% of those hurt have head injuries, while another 27% have broken arms, wrists, or hands. Half of those hurt say a pothole or a crack in the street caused their crash. Dr. Vidor Friedman is president of the American College of Emergency Physicians.
Emergency physicians are treating an increasing number of scooter-related injuries. Many of these are serious and can be life-changing, but many of these injuries are avoidable. The number one thing you can do to avoid serious injury is to wear a helmet. Scoot safe and avoid an emergency.
Studies show that about a third of those hurt are first-time scooter riders. Dr. Friedman advises to start slowly, follow the rules of the road, and be an alert rider. More safety tips are online at emergencycareforyou.org/scootsafe.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're live and local. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We are your home for the Auburn Tigers, and that's not the only dosage of college football that we're going to be giving you this weekend, because we'll kick it off in the morning. Coverage starting at 10 a.m. Auburn Tigers, Missouri Tigers, battle for the mascot name of Tigers. We'll be making our picks on that game later on this afternoon as well. But we also have a big game. I would say that the ramifications for this particular ball game I'm referencing is a little bit stronger than what we'll get in Missouri, between Auburn and Missouri. That is the Georgia Bulldogs and the Texas Longhorns, 5v1. And the control of the SEC, well, Texas already has the control of the SEC, I would say, at this point in time. But if Georgia wins, then it just makes the marbles a whole lot more fun to watch. So we are your home for the Auburn Tigers. Make sure that you're tuned in at 10 a.m. for the coverage starting then, and then the kick at 11 a.m. And then the Georgia Bulldogs and Texas Longhorns coverage starting for that game at 6 p.m. I'm David Hayes, along with Chef Ross Robinson and the host of the Inside Drive. We're switching roles a little bit.
It's a little uncomfortable. I think my mic's not on. Big
Hey, he's getting the camera straightened out and everything right now. But yeah, the host of the Inside Drive, Ryan Mulvey, with us.
Is this what it's like to sit in Jay's seat?
Oh, man, so not only is he on J time, Chef Ross said that, not me. Chef Ross said it, not me.
I showed up.
You showed up. There you go.
That's a big step in the right direction. That's
availability is the best availability.
Yeah, no doubt. For sports, jobs, everything.
No doubt. And then behind the glass on the ones and twos, Liam Mulvey, QB1, DJ QB1, man. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good.
I love it, man. You always have just the right words to say.
Concise. Let's not waste a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt.
Got a lot to dive in today. Ryan's going to be with us for the first hour, and then Banji Bombadella is going to join us for the second hour. He is the sports writer for the Panama City News Herald, so we'll be talking a lot of high school sports in the second hour. There is a lot going on. When is the volleyball game tonight?
I believe that, you know what, I had it up before. Mosley and Choctawhatchee. I want to say it was at 6 p.m. I can pull it up real quick and double check that. That's the 5A District 1 championship game, if I'm not mistaken. I can pull it up really.
A lot on the line, though. A lot on the line.
Volleyball in Bay County is alive and well, no doubt about that. Yes, mostly volleyball. Looking at this beautiful bracket. Why don't they put the brackets on the app on your phone? Drives me crazy.
I would love that, too. I think the Mosley Choctaw game is actually tomorrow night.
It is. If I was listening to myself when I talked about it earlier today, I would have known that it's tomorrow night at 6 p.m.
I was just trying to see, hey, how can we start this show off with a roar?
Yeah.
But there is some other volleyball games tonight, though. You got North Bay Haven hosting Bozeman tonight, Mariana hosting Taylor County, and the ad blocker loves to get in the way.
It goes right in the middle. Right?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, I guess that's part of it. That's it makes it annoying.
Quick little refresh. Freeport and Pensacola Catholic tonight. So that's a good game between North Bay Haven and Bozeman tonight, 6 p.m. over there at North Bay Haven, and then Mosley and Choctaw tomorrow night, which will be a big one.
Yes.
850-215-6290 is the number to call into playoff games tonight, Major League Baseball. That's going to be the Phillies and the Mets. Yankees took the 2-0 stronghold last night. I don't know if you guys got to hear this. I almost brought it up.
Dodgers and Mets, not the Phillies and Mets.
I wish that it. Yeah, I'm going to the divisional round. Dodgers.
Hey, he's wearing
and
that
Mets.
Brewers hat.
Yeah,
He is.
I did that just for you today. Before I even knew you was coming to do the show, I was like, Chef. It just feels like a Chef Ross type day today. But no, Dodgers and Mets. But when we were talking about the baseball earlier today on the Inside Drive, I was watching earlier Yankees clips, or actually, I guess it would have been Guardian broadcasters, and how they were bringing up that the Yankees, they had a couple of blunders on the bases last night, and they were saying they run the bases like they're drunks. Yeah, Jazz Chisholm, and I believe it was Anthony Rizzo. Jazz Chisholm kind of getting rung up over there at second, just off a little pass ball to the right side of the catcher. Not even a full pass ball. He kind of blocked it up some, and then Anthony Rizzo. The Yankees almost lucked into a win last night.
Yeah.
Well, their mistakes didn't hurt them as bad as what they could have last night.
You don't have to be good at running the bases when the balls fly out the way they fly out of Yankee Stadium.
With Aaron Judge hitting that home run, do we now feel like he's going to break out of this slump, or is this just a one-night thing, and then the Guardians maybe can take advantage of this series whenever they get back to Cleveland?
Guardians got to figure out a way to not give away runs. I think it was the first game, 4 pass balls with the bases loaded by the rookie pitcher. I mean, you're not going to win games. That's like having 4 turnovers in a football game. You're just not going to win games doing that. So I think the Guardians pitching really has to be sharp, and they're going into the third game. I don't know who's getting the nod, but it's I think the pitching, because if the Yankees bats continue, like you said, Yankee Stadium, the ball just flies out of that place. The new Yankee Stadium, anyway. I had the pleasure of when I was a youngster going to many Yankees games at the original Yankee Stadium. But yeah, I mean, the Cleveland's got to figure out a way to slow down, and that starts with good pitching. So we shall see.
Well, Dodgers Mets tonight. It's going to be Walker Buehler going up against Luis Severino. I still like the Dodgers. I don't know how much I like Walker Buehler in this situation tonight. I think Luis Severino's had a decent postseason at this point. I'm in between a rock and a hard place when I'm thinking about this NLCS, and it feels like the Yankees, unless, barring any unforeseen circumstances, they're going to make it into the World Series. So would I rather see a Subway Series, a series that we saw, rediscovered the year 2000, or would we like to see the biggest World Series when it comes to star power that baseball will ever see when we're talking about the continuous American League MVP, and then now going to be the continuous National League MVP, especially when he gets the glove back on Shohei Ohtani.
Was that Subway Series when Piazza threw the bat at Clemens?
I believe so.
Was that in the series?
That was in the World. That was in the Subway Series, I remember.
Yeah, it had to have been then, because that was definitely against the Yankees. Man, Mike Piazza, you talk about names that you kind of forget for a little bit every now and again, and you're just like, man, he meant so much to the sport of baseball, and to baseball in the country of Italy, which is, really cool to have a name like Pizza, almost like Pizza. I think if you're not paying too much attention, back in the day when I was a kid, I probably called him Mike Pizza just a few times. Again, 850-215-6290 is the number to call. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Devontae Adams is going to be debuting with the Jets this Sunday. Are we surprised about that? I mean, I know that they said he had a hamstring injury, but it felt like the Raiders were, air quotes on that, felt like they were just doing their due diligence.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you don't want him to go out, he's on the trading block. You don't want him to go out there and get an injury and just blow that entire opportunity up. So yeah, I understand why he had a hamstring injury, air quotes there, but the Jets offense is very, very simple. He's just going to probably have a very simple route tree to run for this game, so expect him to be able to kind of come in and hopefully make an impact there for the Jets with a familiar face there with Aaron Rodgers.
The Jets offense should be a lot more simple. Turn around and hand the ball
over. I love that.
Yeah. Turn around and hand the ball off to those amazing running backs.
Yeah. Who do they got who they got this week?
Steelers. Sunday Night Football. Another edition of us watching old Aaron Rodgers.
My only question with the Adams thing is, wasn't he one of the big, loud proponents to keep Pierce as the coach of the Raiders over the offseason?
He was.
And now he's the first one gone?
Yeah.
Do we think that that's a Pierce situation as much as it is, man, I'm getting up there, maybe I'm losing a step, and I just want to go to a better position where you have more fun when you win?
No doubt.
Right? There's a lot of lessons and losses, and we love learning lessons. Me more so than many others, I think. But when we win, we're having fun and we're learning other lessons along the way about ourselves. So that's a beautiful thing. Could that be a factor, though? I'm speculating much on Davante Adams possibly feeling like he's losing a step. But, I mean, if you're getting up there in your career, wouldn't you rather reunite with a quarterback that at least you had some chemistry with? But then here's the other facet of that. When I'm saying these words out loud, I'm like, well, he already did this to go to Oakland or Las Vegas in the first place to reunite with Derek Carr. That didn't work out. Derek Carr was like, well, I'm glad you came here.
In Green Bay.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So this is why, look, is Davante Adams a better wide receiver currently standing than Amari Cooper? I think anyone can make that argument and feel safe about saying Davante Adams is the better wide receiver. However, I feel like locker room cohesion is one of the biggest things in all of football, and not that Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers are going to have any tiffs between them, but what about all of the other guys who have been working for this, and now you got Aaron Rodgers or Davante Adams showing up on the Pat McAfee show, exactly, in the background.
This big, huge, oh my God, Davante's here. Garrett Wilson's like, what the heck, man? I've been here the whole time. Lazard's like, you brought me over. Like, what's going on? Ty Conklin's like, hey, I'm still a tight end that catches footballs. I don't know. It seems like the Jets are in full-on desperation mode right now. You fire your coach, which really didn't have to happen given where your standings were. Here you are now a game further back. You change your who's calling the plays. Now you got a little more motions. I think they had motion on 76% of the plays versus like 23 prior to the play calling change. But at the end of the day, it's still the Jets, and there's just you've got to overcome being the Jets, and you bring in Aaron Rodgers, and that just kind of seems to add to the Jets being the Jets. I don't know. It just I don't see even bringing Davante Adams over. Great, you brought over a great wide receiver that you've had chemistry for. You're still the Jets.
You're still the Jets.
That's why I'm going to push back that the Jets changed who calls the plays. No, they changed who talks to Aaron Rodgers in the headset.
Yeah,
but Aaron Rodgers still calls the plays.
Yeah,
that's an interesting point because and again, that goes back to Aaron Rodgers kind of in his LeBron era of being a football player, being a quarterback, being a player general manager. We're getting back to that without the titles per se, but I was listening to, I think your phone sound might be on, Chef Ross. I don't know. I just hear something. I don't know where it's coming from, but it takes me to a video that I saw of Eli Manning and Peyton Manning the other day, and Peyton Manning's got the helmet on, and Eli is spouting him out of play, and he just won't shut up. Obviously, it's the brotherism there that's playing a role, but it made me think, how often are the quarterbacks like, all right, coach, like we could simplify this so much more. Obviously, you don't want the defense to find out what it is that you're doing, but we could simplify this to a rate where now instead of me sitting here taking 10, 15 seconds to tell these guys to play, I'm sitting and I get 5 extra seconds now to calculate what I'm seeing from the defense in order to change what it is that we need to change.
Yeah, no doubt that, and that's a huge quote unquote weapon for your quarterback. If your quarterback's got more time, especially a veteran like Aaron Rodgers, to read what the defense is doing, know where your guys are going to be open, and the scheme is a big part of that. But yeah, I mean, if he's the one in like you said, Chef Ross, if he's the one that's really ultimately making the decision on these play calls, then that might be a fundamental issue beyond what's actually happening on the field.
But it's been going on for years in Green Bay that they would call a run play. Rodgers says, heck no, I'm going to throw the ball.
Yep.
And at some point, doesn't that cause discontentment, contention with the locker room, especially with those running backs? Because now it's like, call on me in a time that you need, and I'm like, well, I'll give you 75%, which you would hate to find out that to ever be the truth.
Yeah.
But we're humans, and sometimes like, hey, buddy, we all know the play call right now, and you're checking out of this right now, and you've got 2 of them that you got to get going with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. And I know a lot of us fantasy owners who, with Breece Hall, I think it's has it been inconsistent at best with the numbers that he puts up?
Best, absolutely.
Or is it disastrous with where he was drafted at in a lot of fantasy drafts? the expectation.
I think that's fair. I mean, you could take him, Christian McCaffrey, and obviously Bijan's having an okay year, but Bijan's not having a, number one running back kind of year right now. And I don't know. Derrick Henry's kind of taken that title, but
I'm so happy about that.
I know. He's doing Derrick Henry things, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I get it. He's had some MVP years. He's won one Super Bowl, but being a Niners fan and seeing us beat him in the playoffs so many times, it's just like, I don't get really the hype around Aaron Rodgers. He can get the ball out fast, great. Right. But all I see week in and week out now is mistakes that are costing his team the ability to win football games. Is another wide receiver going to change that? Or is your offensive line going to change that? Is your protection going to change that? What is he calling when is the center calling and shifting protections and all those things? Like, what's actually happening to make their offense successful? Of course, last week they had tons of Breece Hall had a great game. Garrett Wilson had a great game, but was the end of the day they lost the football game. And at the end of the day, wins and losses count in the NFL, and you want to be at the top of that when the season ends. So
yeah,
I don't know. The saga continues, and everybody thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be the savior. Now I guess everybody thinks Devontae Adams is going to be the savior. What's going to be next?
And I mean, when you just take a quick glance at the numbers, that's such a good point. First, let's start, or let me go to that point. It seems like every signing that the Jets have made since if we go back to since they signed Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator, now it's like, all right, we might get Aaron Rodgers over here. Then Aaron Rodgers comes in. I've been duped. I'm duped because on the Inside Drive, we picked the division winners.
Yeah.
I picked the New York Jets this year. Why? Because, all right, the Bills, how could we expect them to come into this season and be the team that we've seen them being when you look at that wide receiving core from afar? The Dolphins were probably my actual favorite. It's just putting my stock into Tua as a guy who loved Tua in college.
Yep.
That's really tough to do. And then obviously the Patriots were in shambles. So I felt like maybe Aaron Rodgers and the Jets could get it done. But since every signing that the Jets have made that had any correlation to do with Aaron Rodgers, it's been funny to look at unless you're a Jets fan. I could only imagine having a guy come in, and it would be like if Tom Brady went to the Titans or if Tom Brady went to the Bears.
Which almost happened.
Almost happened, right? And he doesn't turn that franchise around for you. It's like, well, this was kind of a waste of time because we could have drafted somebody and then shipped them off to another team, and then they could have went to another team, and then they could be 5-0 with a brand new team. Yeah, I'm referencing Sam Darnold. It didn't work out the same for good old Zach Wilson, though. But hey, like you said, I think it's in one word, you could just say the Jets.
Yeah.
It's
the
Jets.
And it's like they're trying to catch up. They always seem like they're trying to catch up from being down. And here you are. You can't play catch up all the time. They're going to have to reset at some point, and they just went in the basket of this Aaron Rodgers and now Devontae Adams. Why the heck didn't you sign Hassan Riddick? I know you've got the agent, and he's kind of crazy, but now he's with a new agency. Like, you want to make real moves to give yourself better chances to win. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. Is he a great quarterback anymore? I think that's up for debate. But other parts of your team, your defense has been your bread and butter that's, quote unquote, held you in the last year when he was out. So
that's the reason Aaron Rodgers went to the Jets, is that defense.
Yeah. Yep. And now the offense is kind of the one sputtering a little bit, and the defense is keeping him in games. But how many chances at the end of the game has he had an opportunity to win the game?
Yeah.
Wasn't that his bread and butter before? Those fourth quarter comebacks, those game-winning drives? It's not happening in New York right now.
I think Cowherd pointed this out years ago when he was still in Green Bay. His fourth quarter numbers in a one-score game are not good.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
He'll
not
throw the Hail Mary and have the beautiful play. But
4 Hail Marys now, right?
Yeah,
4 career. Yeah. But one of those, I don't think that we should be counting first half Hail Marys.
Yeah, because I mean,
it's just a 50-yard pass or whatever it may be.
Yeah, if it counts as a touchdown, that's one thing. Because I mean,
yeah, but are you really asking Mary for anything right there? Anyways, are you really like throwing up a prayer at that point? I guess to an extent. I feel like game-winning Hail Marys to me
mean a lot
But
more.
a game-winning Hail Mary is not a fourth quarter comeback.
Yeah,
either.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a
That's true.
miracle
100%.
that happens, and it's something that's exciting and you talk about, but it's not a well-executed, well-orchestrated drive. I mean, the interception, whether the Mike Williams ran the wrong route, whether he
Red
fell,
line.
whatever it is, if you go back and watch the film, Breece Hall was wide open, and he had probably 25, 30 yards in front of him. That gets you all the way down into field goal range. Now you have an opportunity to kick the field goal and tie the game. Instead, he's trying to make that home run pass to Mike Williams. Whether Mike ran the wrong route or he slipped and it got picked off, that's neither here nor there. But why are we doing that when we can? And I don't know what's that. Is that quarterbacking? Is that him getting his ego in the way?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that is. But hey, other teams will take that play all day long to put themselves in position. I've watched the Chiefs do it. I've watched the Niners do it. I've watched all these top teams do that.
Ohio State tried to do it.
Ohio State tried to do it. Now Oregon kind of found a loophole there in the rules of college football. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams for the rest of the season. And I think by the end of the season, the Jets aren't going to be in the playoffs in this whole year. They lost a year last year, and then this year may go down as even more of a fumble. Some may say a butt fumble.
Good, bad, or indifferent. We will be talking about Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and the rest of those former Packers turned Jets. Dyson Winter says, Ross on ESPN, let's go. Right State Chris says, did it look like Rick and Kill on the mound? I'm assuming we're going to baseball right there. He might be talking about the Yankees Mets for back in 2000, but Rick Ankiel was on the Cardinals. Yeah. So, Right State Chris, elaborate. Rick Ty says, what's up, guys? Kyle Albritton chiming in. Good to hear from you, Kyle. Hope everything is doing well with you. And what's going to be going well Saturday, November 2nd from 12 to 6 at the Break Room, 2727 Joan Avenue, the third annual Pop's Pig Pickin' Barbecue. It's a lot easier to say this when I have it right in front of my face rather than just trying to regurgitate it from memory. Yeah. All proceeds for this event, which Chef Ross is in charge of, will be donated to Beach Care Services. So dinner tickets cost how much? We're going to quiz you.
$20.
Pool tournament.
$15.
That starts at
1 o'clock.
Man, And this is all in honor of a good friend of ESPN Northwest Florida's, the father of Chef Ross, and that's Ron Pops Robinson, one of the greatest men that I knew to walk this earth. And we do got to shout out the sponsors here, the Break Room, which is where the event will be held. Team MVP, which is the coach's daughter, Leanne Schwartzentruber. Lord willing, she's going to be on the air with us tomorrow from 4 to 6. Re-Rack Sports Bar, ESPN Northwest Florida, and of course, Pineapple Willie's, man. Boston Tim and Pineapple Willie's in general do so much for this community. Thoughts and prayers still would be appreciated for Boston Tim. Anything to say about this? I know we're going to revisit this at 4:40, so you could talk a little bit more about the pool tournament, but I'll give you 30 seconds if you need it.
First and foremost, when I was talking with Boston Tim the other day, apparently nobody said timber when the tree was falling.
Yeah. Oh, I like a little humor. You're just zinging him today, bud.
I can joke because he's very well on his way to full recovery.
Yes,
if
absolutely.
things were a lot different, that joke never happens.
Yeah. No, that's very fair point.
Humor sometimes, though, it's good medicine. Yeah. No doubt about it.
That is very true, and also true. It's time for us to take a break. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the house. It's time for the Afternoon Underdogs.
It's happening. Wow. It's on right now.
Opinionated and unfiltered. The hot takes, the rants, and the sports talk you crave.
Give it to me.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Are you ready to go under the lights? Mosley Dolphin football is back. ESPN Northwest Florida brings you live play-by-play coverage all season long. With David Hayes.
Touchdown, Mosley
Dolphins.
And Kyle Wright.
And the interception turns into points for the Mosley offense.
The Mosley Dolphins take on rivals Niceville, Rutherford, and the Bay Tornadoes. Exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Wednesday. Sunny the remainder of the day with a moderate breeze around 17 miles per hour coming out of the north-northeast and temps near 69. Tonight we will have clear skies and a wind speed of 10 miles per hour and be a little cold at 52. Sunny tomorrow and a high 70 with a gentle breeze. Sunshine Friday with a temp of 75. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. That's 800-708-3092.
We're live and local. From Camp Helen State Park to the historic Martin Theater.
Definitely time to let our hair down and have some fun.
It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
You are now back in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. We have a world-class board op this afternoon, and QB1, DJ QB1, Liam Mulvey, along with the host of the Inside Drive, which you can hear every Monday through Friday right here on ESPN Northwest Florida from 11 to 1. That is Ryan Mulvey. We're just missing Jay. I mean, could you imagine having Jay, having us three do a show 2 times a day? With the amount of fun that we were having today, I still think we would go a whole other 2 hours and probably not talk much about sports unless Keith Fleming called in.
Yeah, no, he kind of broke that up a little bit, but yeah, and I'll let me bring up a quick thing real fast, a little inside drivey type thing. So I was driving back from that grand opening, and you see people write on their cars like just married or bachelor trip, and they put their Venmo on there. I'm like, well, why can't we just say I'm broke and put my Venmo on there? And also, she had Go Chiefs on her window too, so I was like, yep. Even if I was going to, I'm not going to now.
That's when you Venmo requesting for money.
Ah, I like that. I like that.
Pay me.
Send it back. Send it back. Pay me just like you pay all those zebras.
I think I'm gonna go get a magnet that says that I'm broke. Yeah, Venmo me. I wonder how.
You probably would be surprised. There'd probably be some people that would shoot some cash over.
I wonder what the tax implications on that would be.
I don't know.
I guess we'll just have to figure out. Hey, Danny, what's going on?
Yeah, that's right.
So T-shirts and magnets now?
Hey, you're allowed a certain amount of gifts per year. So
yeah. What's it like? Can't go over 600 or so? Or is it 600 at a time?
600 is something to do with the transactions for that kind of stuff. But the gift thing, that's a whole nother tax thing. Like you're allowed.
That's basically just holding a cup out.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like unlimited. I don't know if it's unlimited, but she can take a lot of gifts individually from different recipients. So I don't think there's any limit on the total.
You can still Venmo rent and other bills if you put in the memo. This is for the gas bill. This is for rent. Because a lot of those transactions are more than $600 at one time.
They should be crediting me because anytime that I use Venmo, I just type in Uncle Sam. So those are all considered taxes then at that point.
That's it. That's it. You've already paid your taxes for the year.
I'm David Hayes along with Chef Ross. Again, the Inside Drive host, Ryan Mulvey in the building with us, and DJ QB1, Liam Mulvey on the ones and the twos this afternoon. Caveman Rick wasn't feeling very well today. Adam had something going on. We're not going to have Morgan Hilliard in the building with us, but big thanks to to you, Ryan, for stepping up and helping us out this afternoon. And, of course, Chef Ross, which I think you're going to come impose on us tomorrow as well.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? There you go.
It's always a good time here in the studio.
As long as I'm not locked out the door, I can come in anytime you need me to.
There you go. 850-215-6290, number to call there. And if you have any topics you'd like us to talk about, we will get into them. Sam Darnold, though, a guy that I've been high on his entire career, even through his lows, and now he's finally on a team that is looking to be successful. Now, you can go 5-0 all you want to. That's not getting you into the playoffs, especially
Eagles.
Yeah, right.
They made the playoffs, but a quick exit.
Yeah, they just did not. They looked like, for the first 10 games, which is so wild, right?
Yep.
For the first 10 games last year, they looked like the same team that they were the year before.
We were all saying Eagles and everybody else, including the Chiefs at that point. It was Eagles guaranteed to hoist the Lombardi and everybody else.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened.
Is that, was it the losses that started coming first, and then the dissension between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, or was it the dissension in the locker room, hey, I'm not getting enough targets, and then all of a sudden things are going off the rails for the Philadelphia Eagles?
It's a good question because you don't really know what happened first. If you were to speculate that the dissension happened first, I could see that leading more towards the losses than if you lose a couple games than the dissension. Because when you start losing somebody, unless you got a lot of mature people in the locker room and your coaching staff, when you start losing, then a lot of people want to point fingers and take blame. But if the dissension started first and that got in the way of your game plan, that could affect your performance on the football field.
That's also worrisome for the fans about the coaching staff, that they weren't able to have mature coaches to kind of, hey guys, your targets don't matter.
No.
That's not why we play the game.
That number on the left side of the win-loss column is the number that matters.
Right. From
hearing all the former players that are talking heads on ESPN now at the mothership, the coaches don't spend a whole lot of time in that locker room at all. They're just holding the meetings, going rah-rah, and here's the X's and O's. The players are the ones in that locker room. So if the leadership is off and the leadership isn't jumping in and squashing this, hey guys, let's get some dubs here, the coaches really don't have a whole lot to say or to do about the Monday through Saturday.
I think locker room is metaphor might not be the right word, but it's everything that goes practice. It's the
game planning,
meetings,
film room, all those things.
And the coaches are highly involved in those things. And they do break it up by position groups and all of that good stuff. But there's a lot of time where you've got all 53 men plus the coaching staff right there together, and you've got to be on the same page, because I've taken it to this analogy or example before. Back when I played softball, back when I was running my own teams in softball, and I would do a lot of what they call buddy ball, which is just getting my friends to come play softball with me. And we would have some good guys. We would always be competitive, but it didn't matter who it was. If somebody got an attitude, didn't matter if it was the worst player who wasn't even playing on the field, they got an attitude. Somehow, some way, things just discombobulate, and you're just wondering, how did this happen? How did we go from being up 14-3 in the sixth inning, and now all of a sudden we're losing, and like this guy doesn't even play, but he was mad because he didn't get any at bats, and it's like, there's a reason for that.
And that's why your culture is one of the most important things. And let me ask you guys this too with Jalen Hurts, right? College at Alabama, you kind of almost saw a similar parallel. Goes out, plays great. Plays for. Did he ever end up winning a national championship as the starter? I can't remember that. You would think yes, but probably played for a national championship. I don't know.
Think that he did
because halftime of the second national championship.
It was the SEC. It was the SEC championship that he came in and won.
So there's such a strong parallel between his career in college and his career in the NFL. Right, comes into the Philadelphia Eagles, plays great. That second year has the monster year, goes to the Super Bowl. Loses to the Chiefs on that. The play, whatever it is, hot dog, corn dog, whatever it may be, and now you're kind of going the other way. Whereas in college, Tua is the one that kind of came in after Hurts kind of hit that plateau and started going the other way. Now he did come in, but Tua was still the guy. Are we seeing that similar kind of trend with what his tenure at Philadelphia has been like?
It's so tough to say no that we're not seeing that. And he's a good NFL quarterback, could be on his way to being a great NFL quarterback. I think that there's still flashes, but I also think that there's times where you're like, what is this?
Decision making is just bizarre at times.
And it takes me back to his first ever play at Alabama. They were taking on USC, and he fumbled the first play, and I'm like, oh, come on. This is the first true freshman to ever start for the University of Alabama, and this is how we're going to start it. But then he bounces back. So my thing is, where do I think that this is the same situation? I think that there's elements of that, but your NFL career is a lot longer than what your collegiate career is. And for most, right. If you're a good quarterback, if you can last. So I do think that he has enough motivation, enough work ethic to be able to work through this. However, I think any quarterback who is maybe not as good at throwing the ball as what other quarterbacks are, and their star wide receiver starts giving them issues, I think that's the bigger problem than anything. And I think once a wide receiver, in my opinion, not saying that they lose any of their talent, but once they request a trade somewhere, which A.J. Brown didn't necessarily request a trade, but he kind of did by continuously taking all of his Titan stuff off of his Instagram and Twitter and all of that good stuff. And then next thing you know, boom, the Titans are trading him because they think that they've got the next A.J. Brown and Treylon Burks, which just is just the perfect cyclone of how the Titans think about things. Like, that is what in the world? Anyways, neither here nor there. I think that could be a bigger issue than what people want to lead on to. And then here's the other thing, Nick Sirianni, and I can't place blame on the guy, but when you're the head coach of the Philadelphia Football Eagles, which they probably don't like me saying that because it sounds like the New York Football Giants. Yeah. But the Philadelphia Eagles, right? And you say something about the crowd booing, it's like, I don't know if this is the right place for you, my friend. Doug Peterson was able to get it done with Nick Foles, but I think unless you're the Chiefs or the Patriots of old, getting to the Super Bowl and actually winning that thing, we know, right? It's so difficult, and so there has to be so many things in the. It has to be a perfect storm for you to end up winning the Super Bowl in the National Football League.
Yeah, no doubt, and it has to also be the perfect everything when you're playing the game of football with your coaching staff, with your players, with your play calling, with it looks like they're not confident running plays, and I don't know if that's coaching, I don't know if that's the schemes, I don't know if it's just the lack of continuity between him and the receivers. But you've got Saquon Barkley this year, and obviously he had that huge game early in the season, but he's, I don't want to say disappeared, but he's kind of gone by the wayside a little bit. And Saquon Barkley's not just a good running back, he's a good pass catching back as well.
Except for that one play in, was it week 3?
Yeah. Yep. Man, and but again, he's kind of you got this huge acquisition in the offseason, and he just doesn't seem to be a great part of the offense right now. And I don't know,
give the bright shiny new toy, and you're not playing with it.
Give the guy the ball,
and that makes the passing game even that more. The possibility of it being explosive, that more gives it that much more potential, because you get that run game going. We talk about this all the time on the Inside Drive. You get the run game going, and now the passing game has a better opportunity to be successful. Why? Because the linebackers are cheating up in the box. The safeties take another yard forward. And then you've got, when fully healthy, and this is another thing, I don't know if it was as big of a factor for them last year, the Philadelphia Eagles, but the injuries to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, when you look outside of that, it's like, who are they throwing the ball to?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of interesting questions on a lot of different teams. Injury's certainly been a big factor this year, but we shall see how it all plays out. Right now, the Washington Commanders, despite that loss towards to the Ravens, can continue to kind of have control in that division. And like we said earlier today, all you got to do is win that division and make your playoffs. So
this question here is well worth talking about. Was Sunday a good day or bad day for the Lions? They killed the Cowboys, so it was a great day, but they lost their best defender.
Hayden Hutchinson.
True.
So I'm the correct answer is probably both, but I'm going to lean more towards bad day because losing Hutchinson is going to add up a few more L's than the 56 points or whatever they put up. That's not going to carry over till this week.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, they might have an opportunity to still outscore every team that they play. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson's one of the bigger impact edge rushers in the game, and just a nasty, nasty injury watching his tibia and fibia snap across that other guy's leg. Hopefully, he's back playing football sometime in the future, but if Alex Smith could do it, you can do it too, Aiden Hutchinson. But yeah, I mean...
man, that's a good talking point right there, or I guess topic for conversation is quarterback mangles his leg like that, which if any of you haven't seen Alex
watch
Smith's
that documentary too. It's one of the better ones out there.
Golly.
Is that a 30 for 30? Or was that just a Sports Center special?
It's either a 30 for 30 or an E60. I want to say it's a 60, but I'm not sure. It's a good one regardless. Just because you see what he actually really went through.
Real quick to go back to a tangent, and then I want to get back to that. Like, what's tougher, quarterback or defense? Like an edge rusher having a mangled leg like that. But Tim Adams is texting in reference to Hurts in his national championship. But the question wasn't, does Hurts have a championship ring? It's did Hurts win one as the guy?
Yeah, he was the starting quarterback in that game. Obviously, he came out of the one when Tua came in.
So technically, he was the starter for that game.
Yeah, he just didn't finish the game.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is like, we were so close.
Yep.
But then the year prior to that, they were in the championship.
Tua got the save. Yeah, I like
there
that.
you go. I mean, so a little starting pitcher getting the win and Tua getting the save there. I like that analogy there. They didn't play Georgia in the SEC championship that year. They got left out losing to Auburn unexpectedly, final game of the season. Instead, they got in the playoff and they got dismantled by Clemson, though. The first year, Hurts' first year, we got dismantled by Clemson.
That was the 44-16 kind of game. Yep.
And then it was the next year, because what was it? It was it 2020?
You're the Alabama fan.
Yeah, I know, but there's been so many championships. It'd be one thing if it was one. But it's like when you've got
so many that blend together.
I mean, seriously, though, you try to think about all the quarterbacks who've won there over just the last little bit of time.
That's true. That's true.
It blends together. So, but I don't think that Hurts ever got one as the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. You guys are riding with... not the Alabama Crimson Tide, but the Afternoon Underdogs, and we're just as good, especially if you look at how the Tide are playing this year, baby. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to take a quick time out. Keep those texts rolling in, Tim. I do appreciate the text for sure. And when we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about this third annual Pops Pig Pickin' Barbecue. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for the Mosley Dolphins.
This just in. Get the latest sports news, scores, and updates from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Follow us on Facebook for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes action, live streams, and the chance to interact with your favorite hosts.
Stay connected. Stay connected. Stay connected.
Join the conversation on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Search for ESPN Northwest Florida and crush the follow button.
I follow you on social media.
We're always here to keep you in the game.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Wednesday. Sunny the remainder of the day with a moderate breeze around 17 miles per hour coming out of the north-northeast and temps near 69. Tonight we will have clear skies and a wind speed of 10 miles per hour and be a little cold at 52. Sunny tomorrow and a high 70 with a gentle breeze. Sunshine Friday with a temp of 75. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore Portable Building Dealer, Panama City.
Is your restaurant looking a little tired from the long off season? Is your office a little offish? Start the new year off right by giving them a fresh start. Fresh Start Cleaning is now accepting new clients. Ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services. Fresh Start Cleaning. Get clean again with Fresh Start. Call call 850-771-6917, 771-6917, and ask about the complimentary hood cleaning services.
From Tyndall Air Force Base to the Hathaway Bridge, we're live and local. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
I feel like anytime we've got Liam Mulvey, DJ QB1 on the ones and twos, we are absolutely in a gangster's paradise, and in a paradise nonetheless in Panama City. It's David Hayes here, Chef Ross, and the host of the Inside Drive. You can listen to that right here on ESPN Northwest Florida from 11 to 1. I almost said a.m., 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., but that would be a long show, 13 hours. Talk about the Inside Drive after dark.
We could probably do that. We could probably figure out a way to do that.
Oh, man, a whole bunch of afternoon and evening debrief delights, huh?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Hey, maybe there's a fundraising idea. We've done golf marathons. We could do a radio marathon.
There you go.
I don't know how we'd convert it to dollars, but we could figure it out.
We need to do that, and it'd have to be a little bit more than just fundraising if we're spending 24 hours of our time, right?
Oh, people will pay to get you all off the air at some point.
Yeah. Hey, there we go. Hit me on the Venmo. We'll take a 10-minute break here.
That's it.
This is ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for the Mosley Dolphins. They have a big one this Friday. It's going to be over there at Tommy Oliver Stadium between the Arnold Marlins and the Mosley Dolphins. I was going to try to go over there to the Arnold pep rally because Jay wanted us to go, but I don't know if I can hold up my end of the bargain.
All Jay does is gaslight us.
Yeah, there we go. We got to get a little therapeutic.
That's it.
Some new age therapeutic words here these days. We do have a lot of great football on the air for you this Sunday as well. We've got 11:30 coverage time, 12 p.m. kick. It's going to be the Texans and the Packers. How do you feel about the Packers being a 2.5-point favorite in this game, Chef Ross? Go.
I don't understand it. It's in Houston, isn't it?
No, it's in Green Bay.
Oh, it's in Green Bay? Okay. Because I saw...
Unless I typoed this incorrectly.
It might be in Green Bay because I think that's where our discussion was.
Yeah.
Like, how are they a 2-point dog? Or in Houston.
Yeah.
Like, how?
No, it's in Green Bay.
Okay, my bad. I saw on Facebook that Green Bay is doing the all-white uniforms, which look pretty tight.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of alternate uniforms at all. I'm a very traditionalist, but
especially being a Packers guy, yeah, for sure.
Those are very nice uniforms, and you get 3 points for being the home team, according to all the lines. So technically, Houston's a half-point favorite if you take away the 3-point.
Pick'em's probably fair as far as this game is concerned. Two good football teams. I mean, both have had explosive games, and both have had games with minimal offensive input there. You ever done this before?
Well, I'm trying to open up the door because I got people back there who, I tell them they could open the door, but...
The doorbell.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's just a little bit of multitasking.
Yeah.
Two very good young quarterbacks.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Jordan Love has kind of kept behind the scenes there for a long time and has really come on to his own and doing a great job. And C.J. Stroud, the Houston Texans, I don't know. I almost lean towards the Packers a little bit in this one. I think I picked the Packers in the pigskin pick'em. I got to see a little bit more. Joe Mixon's back now, so I feel a little bit more comfortable with that. But when he was out, obviously they were still finding ways to win the game. But, C.J. Stroud has to do a lot more when Mixon is not playing. So hopefully he'll continue to play. I don't think he had any setbacks from that high ankle sprain this past week. But should be a great one up there in Lambeau.
Green Bay's getting healthier, too, now.
Yeah, and how's that weather going to be? Is it going to be chilly up there?
Nah, not quite yet. I don't think. I haven't looked at the forecast.
Because I bet this morning it was pretty chilly up there.
56 degrees, might get some showers with that as well.
Oh, yeah.
October's a really weird month. It could be 85 or it could be 40.
Like here, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get 40 here.
Wow,
Wait, don't we have like some
we got some
coming
real well, that's what today started, and I think the low tonight is in the low 50s, maybe even the upper 40s for some of the inland areas. But and then we'll be 85 again next week. So buckle up with your allergies. The pollen will be going in and out. But yeah, a lot of great NFL football games on the docket today. Who's our 3:00-ish game here on the ESPN?
It's not as good. It's the Raiders and the Rams.
Oh, okay.
So it's a game nonetheless, right?
I was anxious you were going to say Niners Chiefs.
I don't think I even had that as an option. I have three different sources that I can go to pull NFL games from. If 49ers Chiefs was an option, I would have
I figured.
made sure. In fact, if I can go find it, I'll make an audible.
Little swapperooski.
Little swapperooski there. Third annual Pops Pig Pick and Barbecue. All proceeds for this event will be donated to Beach Care Services. Dinner tickets are $20. What kind of dinner are we going to be having for this, Chef Ross?
We got ribs, and then I haven't figured out the sides yet. It all depends on the donations and how much I can do, but I promise you it's going to be a phenomenal meal.
And if you'd like to help donate to the third annual Pops Pig Pick and Barbecue, you can contact Chef Ross on Facebook, just Ross Robinson. You can give your phone number out if you'd like to. Maybe you pick up some honeys.
612-708-7366.
All right.
Or shoot me a text.
Or some Venmos. Hey, there we go.
I got Venmo and Cash App.
Ooh. PayPal?
I haven't used that in forever.
Yeah, I feel that.
Can't figure out how to use Zelle, so it's just Venmo, Cash App.
Zelle's got to run through your actual bank. Yeah,
I have my bank tied to all of them though.
Zelle is actually very secure. I like to use Zelle.
I like the Apple Pay, man.
Yeah,
that one works pretty good. But dinner tickets $20 if you'd like to donate. Again, Chef Ross, or you can text into us 850-215-6290. We'll get you in contact with him. Explain a little bit more about this pool tournament that starts at 1 p.m. that costs $15, and then we'll dive back into that at 5:40.
So this pool tournament is a handicap tournament. So. You don't have to be a really good pool player to play in the tournament. And how it's handicapped is the lower ranking player gets more out balls, more chances to win on the table than the higher ranked player. So if I'm not a very good player and I'm playing one of the pros, I could win the game by knocking in the 7, 8, or 9 ball, whereas they have to run all the way out to the 9. And it gives more of a shot because I have more chances of making balls to win the game.
So it's would that be comparable to how a scramble works with handicaps and stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, individually, and it makes sense because obviously a much more skilled pool player should be able to run that table a lot easier than somebody that's not as good. I used to play a lot of pool growing up in college. Got to a 6 at the highest, but then I haven't played in 20 years.
And so is that a handicap? 6? So there's a handicap in pool as well?
Yeah, there's a handicap. There's a few different handicaps. The leagues out of the break room go off their Fargo ranking, which is a national handicap that all of the professional players use.
What's yours?
My Fargo, I believe, is a 357.
357. So 6 is lower than
6. That was what it was an APA.
Yeah,
league.
APA 6 would be like a 425.
Oh, so Ryan was better than you.
That was a long
here
time
we go.
ago.
Now we got to see y'all play.
Now
we got to see y'all play. And then we can even it out with a round of golf after that, right?
There you go.
Be behind you guys the whole time, commentating into the cell phone, and no one will hear it.
Pool's such a great camaraderie type of game, and to be able to do it to raise money for a great cause is a really cool thing. Obviously, Beach Care Services is a wonderful organization. I believe they also have a golf tournament this Friday that got rescheduled from a couple weeks ago. They may still have teams. I'm not sure.
That's going to be Saturday, November 2nd. Not the golf tournament, but the third annual Pops Pig Pick and Barbecue. If anyone does ever need a fourth scrambler for your scramble team, 850-215-6290. We'll figure out a way to get one of us out there to help you.
Or golfwithjay.com.
That's how you get better at the game of golf and enjoy getting better at the game of golf while you do it.
He's a good scramble partner back there because he gets to play from the forward tees as we have we have 7 sets of tees out there at Bay Point. So he's played very well in scrambles and always a good partner.
And I don't ever mind telling people I identify as something else to get the edge.
That's it.
Hey, anything for the W, baby. Win, baby, win. Saturday, November 2nd, 12 to 6 at the Break Room, 2727 Joan Avenue.
One other thing is the Break Room now just refelted all of their pool tables, so they're smooth and fast and level.
What are they on the stent meter?
I have no idea, but
is it what size tables? Bar tables? Or are you playing on?
They're diamonds.
Yeah, okay.
There is a 9 foot, but our regular tables are diamonds. So
those pockets on 9 feet are so tight.
Yeah.
And not the good.
No.
You just like, it's going to go. Oh, it doesn't go in. But yeah, that'll be awesome. I can't believe this is all your third one.
I know.
Time is flying. Feels like we were just in here last year talking about it.
I was. The second one.
Yeah.
It feels like we were just starting the inside drive like a couple of weeks ago. Which Raven MVP or which Raven is the MVP front runner right now? If you had to water gun to your head, you had to pick. It was Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. I don't think there's an argument for anyone else to be an MVP. But where would you go? Which direction do you go, Chef Ross?
MVP turned into the most valuable quarterback, so therefore it's Lamar. I don't know why it's always the quarterback, but just because Lamar plays quarterback, he's going to get the MVP on my vote.
We kind of saw that last year with what happened with CMC winning the Offensive Player of the Year. But you know what? We haven't had a running back win an MVP in a long time. And I think, obviously, Lamar's been on that team. But now with Derrick Henry on that team, he's certainly adding a whole nother aspect into it. Just in a very difficult, if you listen to Keith Fleming today on the Inside Drive, talking about that Ravens offense, he had him number 1 in his power rankings. You've got to keep eyes on 2 unbelievable runners. I'll give it to Derrick Henry just because we haven't had a running back.
Was Peterson the last running back?
I believe so. There's been 3, and it's been a while.
That's just kind of like the Heisman Trophy in college football. What 3? It's been 3 running backs. Reggie Bush, Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, and now the question is, could Ashton Genty get the job done? Travis Hunter does not feel like they're even in the same conversation. But how many yards does Derrick Henry need to get to really solidify this? Because we saw back in 2020 that he was over 2,000 yards, 2,027, and didn't really get the same love. But with what I love the point that you just brought up, Ryan, is Lamar Jackson has been a part of this Ravens team. Now this Ravens team is viewed as more dangerous, at least at this point in the season. Why, though? Not because of Lamar Jackson, because they've had him, but it's because of Derrick Henry. But it's one of those perfect... Have we ever seen co-MVPs on the same team, and would the voters make that happen?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't think it would ever happen just because I think you're going to want everybody's going to want a standout MVP winner.
And
but
to go with answer your question about how many yards he needs, I think it's a combo platter that he needs to get over 2,000 yards, and no other quarterback needs to have lights out numbers or a stand up season.
Right.
So that way you can't really compare him to like say Patrick Mahomes or Brock Purdy, just to throw a few names out there that would definitely take votes away from Derrick Henry.
The only thing that may limit that opportunity is he's not a huge threat in the passing game. I mean, he's only got 49 total yards right now on 8 total targets and 6 receptions. So I think he'd have to get to like a pretty astronomical rushing number, like a 2,400 or something like that, which would be unbelievable. You couldn't not give him the MVP at that point.
He's halfway to 20 touchdowns right now. Well, not completely halfway, but 8 touchdowns. I mean, if you get 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns, maybe, but you go back to 2020, 2,027 yards, 17 touchdowns that particular year. So it's just amazing to me how, everyone was thinking, because of his age especially, right? 30 years old. All right, it's time for him to start slowing down. The Baltimore Ravens really didn't utilize him much at all in the first game, at least maybe to the expectations of myself. And it's just each week. He did have the game against the Bengals where he only had, God forbid, 85 yards. But it's just like every game, he's already almost to his rushing total of last year. Now, provided he didn't get the same amount of carries last year as what we're kind of accustomed to in a full healthy season of Derrick Henry, because it was the Will Levis experiment that they continue to want to figure out if this guy's any good. What do you guys get paid for? What do you guys get paid for, Tennessee Titans? But yeah, we'll see. The Tennessee Titans coaching staff, my goodness, the scouting department just needs to be blown up and just restart anew from there. I'll say Lamar Jackson because of the quarterback thing, but there's a special place in my voting heart, which is not voting for Derrick Henry, though, especially with how dangerous he's made this Ravens team.
Yeah, my heart would definitely go to Henry because it's not the most valuable quarterback, it's the most valuable player. But as our trends have shown, if I'm throwing any sort of money at Hard Rock, it's going to be on the quarterback.
That is a very fair point. Well, Ryan, thanks so much for joining us here in the first
absolutely.
hour. You got anything else you want to say? We can run a little long if you want to.
No, you're good. You're good. We'll look forward to Afternoon Underdogs tomorrow. For all you Florida State fans out there looking for some good news, we'll have Coach Amy Bond on with us talking about the two top-ranked amateur golfers in the world. Both belong to Florida State University.
Hey, that's
That's
great
pretty
stuff.
impressive.
And she's always a great interview. When you guys have her on, it's a lot of fun. So the Inside Drive tomorrow from 11 to 1, and Coach Amy Bond will be on, and that's going to do it for us here in the first hour. Coming up next, we're going to be talking to the Panama City News Herald sports writer, Banji Bamadella. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
That's the whole country. Nobody can tackle. Nobody can tackle. Hell, you can't practice that because they might leave and transfer out.
Yeah, as football coaches, we ain't real good at math. But we, by all our calculations.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Wednesday. Sunny the remainder of the day with a moderate breeze around 17 miles per hour coming out of the north-northeast and temps near 69. Tonight we will have clear skies and a wind speed of 10 miles per hour and be a little cold at 52. Sunny tomorrow and a high 70 with a gentle breeze. Sunshine Friday with a temp of 75. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
All roads lead to adventures and a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Get ready to forge a new path in 2025 and discover our new Kia SUV family. Bill Bird Kia is now offering 1.90% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. It's the best family SUV with third-row seating space for the entire family to unwind. Bill Bird Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. Kia, movement that inspires.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento with $21.65 per month for 1,000 financed at 48 months. Quantities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. Not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 10/31/24.
WVLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. It is hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're tuned into 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. David Hayes along with Chef Ross, and we've had a little overturn for the roster here. Ryan Mulvey is headed out, and so is our DJ QB1, Liam Mulvey. So it's just me and the gang, and now we've got Banji Bamadella in the building with us. He is the Panama City News Herald sports writer. Banji, what's going on, my man?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's a great day to be alive.
Hey, every day is a great day to be alive. Chef Ross as well here on the Afternoon Underdogs. And we've got to dive into it, man. Banji, we had a big weekend in football here in Bay County. So let's start with the big one, right? I mean, Arnold winning, huge. Rutherford getting starting a win streak, absolutely huge. Bay clinching their district, huge. But there was one game that kind of stood above the other games, at least from my perspective. Niceville, Mosley, break it down for us.
I mean, it was a great matchup between two ranked teams. I mean, Niceville came into that game the number 8 ranked team in the state of Florida, class number 2, or I believe number 1 in Class 5A, and Mosley was the number 25th ranked team in Class 5A. So it was a good matchup. It was nice to see how Mosley would do against a team that has the same sizes as them. They're built like them. And early on, it was a tight game. We know that Niceville had a 14-13 lead early in the game, but LaKavian Jackson, man, love Jack. He was clearly the difference maker because jet sweeps, anytime Wildcats, anytime he touched the ball, it's either a first down or a touchdown.
And not only that, I think something that gets overshadowed is actually how he's being committed right now as a defensive back is how good he is on the defensive side of the ball. But like you said, the last week you brought up the stat that every other time he touches the ball, it goes for a touchdown. Not as well this time, right? He had 14 carries for 5 touchdowns, so it was, closer to 1 every 3 carries. But still, what do you see from him on the defensive side of the ball?
I mean, it's huge because, early in that game, Johnny Lewis, Niceville's quarterback, he was getting everything he wanted in the run game, but something I kept on seeing from him, LaKavian, was just hustle. He kept on chasing after Lewis. He was always there. He was always involved in the tackle. You always heard his name, tackled by LaKavian Jackson from the announcer. So he's active on the defensive side, but along with Raiden Bruins, Raiden had 3 sacks. 3 sacks and a fumble recovery. So he also was active on the defensive side. So was Sawyer Schultz and Wyatt Fleming as the linebacker duo. They've been solid all year long, especially when stopping the run. So they made Connor Matthews, Niceville's running back who's committed to UMass, they made him, he only had 8 carries for 40 yards, I believe. So, and he's their workhorse. So they made him look pedestrian and they made him look normal. So when you have that on the defensive side, it's a matter of time before Mosley's offense gets rolling.
And that was actually a quote that you brought to the table, right? From Raiden Bruins. Not only are we going to stop the run, but we're going to beat them with the run. And they did just that. Sammy Freitas, though, also having a big game. And another name that we ended up naming Tyler Tanner as the Slim Chickens player of the game, adding 2 sacks there. Just the cohesion that the Dolphins have on the defensive side of the ball. It's been a lot of fun to watch. And because you've watched these games, you keep track of these games. They were adding Jack Massey and Carson Griffin to the secondary, and it's like that's something that we didn't see outside of the second half of Milton, basically.
Yeah, that was something interesting that I saw there, because also something I also noticed when the game started, Landon Hawthorne was he wasn't dressed for the game, so I was like, okay, he's injured most likely. But then also it made more sense to put Jack and Carson out there because speed matches with speed.
Right.
And I was just thinking, when you're facing fast receivers, when you're facing a faster quarterback, you need that speed to catch up on the back end. So I believe that was a smart decision by Coach Whitten to even think of doing something like that, which it's brave to do, because you never know that with playing guys on both sides, the risk of injury just goes up higher and higher.
And we saw the bravery basically right out of the gate, going for 2 right on the first touchdown, which is something that we've seen from them throughout this year. It was like, maybe I thought that every time that they were doing that in hopes of, if they get into another position against Niceville, how they were last year, that they'll come out and go for 2, not that they would just continue their trend of going for 2 in a big time game on the first touchdown of the game. And me and Kyle Wright both thought that maybe this would come back to haunt them, but they held tight, man. And what else did you mention? Connor Matthews, 8 for it was either 40 or 48 yards, one of those 2 numbers. But how do you, if you're Niceville, how do you leave that game feeling okay with yourself that you let your best player run the ball 8 times, or is that more on Mosley was just making the right reads from the defensive perspective and making Johnny Lewis Jr. have to keep the ball himself?
Yeah, I definitely think it's that, because early on the running game wasn't working with Connor Matthews, and I think their coach, they deviated from that way too early. I feel like if they kept on trying with it, because as we saw, Johnny Lewis broke open a run for 50, 60 yards.
Yeah.
So it's working in different ways. I think they just needed to find different ways to give Matthews the football. They were just trying, run it up the middle, and that's not going to work. Because every time I would see Sawyer Schultz or Wyatt Fleming just fill up that gap, and it's a tackle for loss, or just it's a tackle for maybe a 1 yard, 2 yard gain. So it's definitely something that they deviated from. But I mean, they were leading at the half. That's something that they can hang their hats on, because the fact that they had a chance to win that game. They scored 14 points in the first half, 14 points in the second half. Usually when you double your score like that, you win those games. But when you're playing a team like Mosley, who they average 40 points a game, they're going to put points on you, especially in the second half. So that's something, I guess, in a way they can hang their hats on.
What did you think of the environment there at Tommy Oliver Stadium, especially coming from a place like Atlanta?
I'll just say this, right? I come from Metro Atlanta, where we take football very seriously. Like, especially when we go up north and face teams like Adalton or stuff like that, or Harrison's, all those kind of schools, those are high intensity, like high tension games. But last Friday at Tommy Oliver, best crowd I've seen this year covering football or just covering any sports in Bay County. And the full Mosley home side filled out. It was something beautiful to see, because especially in the fourth quarter, anytime it was third down and long, I felt sorry for Niceville, because I was like, you can't hear yourselves. You can't hear it, because everybody was chanting. Everybody was excited, and it was a great environment to be in.
It felt like a tale of two halves when it comes to the crowds as well, because Niceville felt like the band was just pumping for Niceville. Like, it was like they had a speaker somewhere over there just regurgitating what the instruments that they were playing. They did a great job. And then in the second half, now the Mosley side was filled the whole entire time, but it felt like that Niceville side just kept getting more packed and more packed and more packed. And we're on the radio telling people, like, you still got time to come down and check this game out, because I'm telling you, it's going to be an exciting finish. And that game lived up to the hype. It lived up to the hype, and that's all that you can ask for. And especially, you just mentioned Metro Atlanta, how serious you guys take football. The crowds are probably a little bit more bigger on average, but to kind of almost feel back at home to some extent, I know it had to be nice for you.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a very nice experience, because I love when bands are going after each other, the crowd is going after each other. When there's a big call or a controversial call a little bit, everybody's yelling like, oh, did he or did he not? And it's like, just that environment was just very cool to see. One thing I can say though is late in the fourth quarter, and I saw some Niceville fans leaving early.
Oh,
and it was still a one possession game at that point. So I saw them leaving a little bit early. I was like, well,
it's a long drive.
Oh, yeah.
It is a long drive. It is a long drive. We'll give them that. And there was one call. There was probably a few more, a couple of calls, not just one, but there was definitely one call late in the game. I believe it was a third down, and it was a third and maybe 11. It was third and long, and it felt like they got right there to the sticks. It was not going to be a first down. It was still going to be fourth down right there, but it was the difference in 4th and 2 and 4th and 5. Now, I don't know if that played such a huge role because of the holding call after that, right? But those are the one things in those big time games. You just never want to see those situations. But I don't know if you've been able to see the replay. Do you felt like they got the spot right, or do you feel like it was a little bit off there?
It's one of those things where, in hindsight, yes, they didn't get the spot right. They should have had them, at least, I think, 4th and 1?
I would say fourth and 1.5.
And I think, was it holding, or was it that they were arguing that call, which ended up them having a delay a game?
Delay a game. That's what it was.
And then that pushed them back, and they had to punt, I believe, right? Or something like that. So, Seth Stringer, the writer at the Northwest Daily News, he was talking about it, how that was like a controversial call that decided the game. I was like, no, there was one player who decided the game.
There was one player. 14 carries, 266 yards, 5 touchdowns for Low Jack. The defensive side as well, he's a monster. Do you think, and we've talked about this, do you think that he ends up at Mississippi State, or will offers start flooding in?
This is something that I'm about to really go in depth in investigating around Bay County with recruiting.
Yeah.
Because a player like him, if you put those stats up in Metro Atlanta, that guy's a 5-star going to Georgia.
Yeah.
But around here, I wonder the lack of exposure.
Yeah.
The way he talked to me, what he told me about Mississippi State, how he's committed because the coaches were so, everything that he wanted to be at Mississippi State, the coaches were willing to give to him, and he loved the environment there. He told me all of that. So I'm just thinking, I think he's too far along right now, committed to Mississippi State for any school. Not saying that I know anything, but I'm just saying, if another SEC school comes, it's going to take a lot of, I think, convincing for him.
Is that a good sign in this world that we live in, this world of college football now, where it's like, hey, I don't need my checklist taken care of. It's not about my academics. It's not about how the coaches treat me. It's about one and one thing only. Not saying that it's like that for every college football, but it just seems to be painted as that type of a picture with the NIL. not necessarily even the transfer portal, but they use the transfer portal to build the bag, not just get it, to go build the bag. But is that kind of refreshing for you, like in this world of college football?
Yes, because that's in a way that's like the authenticity that we're looking for with. We all enjoy watching football, right? We all enjoy, people have love for watching football, but once you start the whole NIL thing, like the UNLV situation with the quarterback and running back who are like, well, I wasn't given what I was promised, so I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
In situations like that, you just think, do you not love the game more than what the money is going to provide? Because NIL was it's just a recent thing. So what if NIL didn't exist and something else still happened? Would you still quit on your team? Like, that's just things I wonder, like the authenticity, the foundation that the game is built on. Are we still playing football for the love of football or for the money?
There you go, man. That's a wonderful way to put that, Banji. We are talking with Banji Bomadelli. He is the sports writer for the Panama City News Herald. Did you have something there for us?
So even before NIL, when they weren't playing in one of the BCS bowls, a lot of the top draft picks would quote unquote quit on their team so they could protect their draft status. So that's kind of when the shift started happening, is when the Michigan tight end blew his knee out, and I don't even think he got drafted that year. He's playing in like the Peach Bowl or something, I think.
Yeah, similar to Ole Miss quarterback Matt Corral. He tore, I think, his knee, and he got drafted, I think, in the 6th round because of it. So yeah, it's a risky game. There's no right answer in things like this. So we just have to.
My question for you on the recruiting thing in Bay County, is it because Mosley's head and shoulders above everybody else, that there's really no competition, that these kids aren't being seen on a recruiting level?
Well, my thing is, I think it's a recruiting level through all the sports, not even just football. Because even in basketball, last season, Noah Gray for Bozeman, 6'5", dog of a center, he averaged 20 and 10. He's playing D3 basketball in New Jersey, but I'm like, anywhere else with those numbers, you'll at least see D2. Like, I'm not saying that I know this personally, but I'm just saying I have seen players with less of a resume get offers, his build and everything. So I'm just thinking, is it Panama City, Florida, the location itself, that's what's hindering our athletes over here? But then again, you can argue we do have other athletes who are getting the exposure. They're 5-star rated, they're 4-star rated, they're getting these offers. But also some of those athletes are just freak athletes.
Yeah.
So that's the real question. That's what I'm going to look deep into.
I like that, man. That's going to be a fun investigation to hear and or read about, because you can check out Banji's content not only on Twitter, but also the Panama City News Herald. He is the sports writer. Bay High, big win against West Florida, right? 35-13. Their season went from looking like, man, what's going on with the Tornadoes here to, hey, you're, 3-4 now?
Yes, sir.
And in a good position to maybe possibly make a run. I mean, I don't know what the rest of the district lines up to look like, but that's what we got you here for.
Yeah, so I mean, they're district champions, Class 3A, District 1 champions, and they have a tough Walton team this week. But besides that, I mean, they're going to be, if everything turns out to be what it is, they're going to end up hosting a playoff game, which is something exciting, which if you look back in the first part of the season, you would have thought, no way. But they figured things out. Like, that's something that is impressive about them. They're finally having all their offensive pieces together. Their defense plays hard. That's something that impressed me last week when I watched that district championship game. Scoop and score, just fumble recoveries. They're getting turnovers on the defensive side, and it's the backups. They have depth. They have depth for real, because quarterback Xavier Morgan, he went down with the high ankle sprain, but sophomore quarterback John Devos, he came in and he dealt. We finally saw a connection with Javar Bowden, the 6'7" receiver. He caught a touchdown in the Enzo Mosta guy, and it's like
he's got the height to do that
exactly.
too.
When you're already 6'7" and then you jump about 30 inches in the air, it's like, wow, okay, well, we have no chance. So I'm like, in my eyes, I'm like, they should have been doing this all year.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, I'm not a coach, but I could be.
I like that. Hey, one day we'll have to have you coach some flag football around the area, some tackle football, and keep on keeping on, man. Loving just the way that you gel in with this community here, and the people love you. I know from the compliments that I've heard just from you being on the air with us, like, man, that guy knows what he's talking about. Like, yeah, you think I just have people like me on the show all the time? Come on now. We got to have smart people to balance it out, right? It's all about balance. We've got Sean on the line. Sean, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What do you have for us?
Just a question. I mean, I didn't. He's in studio.
Yes,
I can't
sir.
remember how to pronounce
Banji.
Banji. Yeah. Okay. I just had a question because maybe he knows, or maybe somebody in the studio there knows. I did hear. I just tuned it back on. I was at the store, and I just got back in the vehicle, and I didn't catch all his segment, but I just caught that last part where he was saying that Bay was the district already the district winner. I guess he said, and he said that I couldn't remember. He said I think he said they're 3-4. And he said they play in Walton next week.
Walton this Friday. This Friday.
Are they a district? Are they in their district, Bay's district, or are they?
No, Bay is part of a 3-team district with Pensacola and West Florida. So Bay's already beat Pensacola and West Florida. So the districts are decided.
I couldn't remember what districts they were in. Okay, but there's no telling how that'll come out or whatever. But have they changed then from last year? Because this is the question I had. Because last year Mosley won the district. They beat Niceville the first time in forever. The Wonder District, I don't remember what their end of the regular season record was. I think it may have been 6-4.
I believe it was 6-4. Yeah.
Yeah, and then but last year winning the district did not guarantee you a home game. They got them an 8th seed in their region in a matchup with a 10-0 number 1 seed Gainesville Buchholz on the road.
Oh, that was a whooping.
So have they changed? What I'm getting at is have they changed it because just because they're a district winner, unless they've changed it, it won't be guaranteed because if they're still doing that seeding stuff for the region. They could still be, with their record not going to be impressive, they could still be a 6, 7, 8 seed, and that won't get you a home game.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Have they changed that, maybe?
I don't believe so, but I was just saying because I believe that.
Are they just going by max prep ratings or something too?
You know what? To be honest about these rankings, it's a real mess kind of because
you got max prep, you got FHSA. Yeah,
FHSAA says that they use max prep rankings, but I'm like they're different though. Yeah, when you look at them.
But then you also have like the area rankings. So like when you're looking at max preps, the scoreboard and. For the Niceville and Mosley game, it was like number 1, number 2. But then when you go to FHSAA, it's like 8 and 26 or whatever it was. So it does get a little more. Yeah. Though it's like the more research that you do on high school football, the more confusing it is, and that's why I just rely on Benji Bombadella.
Yeah, it's just hard to figure out, and then you think it's going to be one thing, and then it plays out differently. Because I thought last year they did, they Mosley being. Again, their regular season record wasn't that as impressive as it will probably be this year. I could see them possibly losing to Arnold. I could see them possibly losing to Florida High School at the very end. Mm-hmm. And I think they should be able to handle Gulf Breeze. I think that's who they're playing in the next last game. But they're looking at maybe 9-1, 10-0. Worst case scenario 8-2. But that's still even a district winner, unless they changed it last year. They could very well be a 6, 7, 8 seed, and warm up the bus because you're hitting the road again. You know what I'm saying? So I just wonder if they changed things, and if they haven't, Bay's not going to be in the district winner. Won't be guaranteed a home game. Unless they've changed it, because that didn't play out last year for Mosley.
I think as we get closer to the end of the regular season, those things will start to show themselves a little bit better. And I think the most important thing for Bay right now is how they started and where they're at this point in time.
They've definitely improved as the season has gone along. I wish them the best. If they went out, I guess they could be what would that be? 6-4. 6-4.
Yeah. So
that's the best case scenario on the record was.
And you bring up a great point, Sean, because it's just so hard to tell at this point, because I think all of us thought that Mosley was going to be hosting a playoff game last year, even with that 6-4 record, up until they're putting out the rankings, and it's like, oh, well, you're actually traveling to Gainesville. Hey, boys, y'all are able to travel?
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. 10-0, number 1 seed in the region. I think they made it to the state final. I don't think they won, but they were a powerhouse, loaded buzzsaw. It's just like, here you go, this is your welcome.
And they had a few legacy, or at least one legacy commit to the Florida Gators as well. They were that Buchholz team was loaded with talent.
Yeah, you saw it in person. I guess you were there, right?
Yeah, those boys. It was a different monster. You kind of knew. And here's the other thing, and I want to talk to Banji about this. It's so tough. The last 3 years for Mosley, 2 years ago they were very close at beating Niceville in Niceville. They fall.
Yeah,
the rest of the season, it was like, where did the lust, not the love, but where did the luster go? Where is the energy? Then last year they beat them, and it still felt the same way. Like they kind of fell flat. This team does feel different at this point in time. It seems like it's been business as usual for every single game, even if they started maybe a little bit slow. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like the Mosley Dolphins are FSU High or Florida High could be a tough school there, but Arnold and
be on the road,
yeah, Arnold and Milton or Gulf Breeze rather should be. If the energy level is high, they should be able to take care of business.
I hope so, because you can't. Arnold's. Is 6-2, and they. From what I hadn't seen any games in person, just watching Mosley games on YouTube and your broadcast with synced up with it, and Arnold's games. I haven't seen any of those, just highlights. But from what I can tell, they've got a heck of a defense, and if Mosley comes out flat and is like I said, unmotivated, or just thinks, oh, we're going to roll out there, we're 7-0, they're 6-2, we should we beat them 55-0 last year or whatever. They could be in for a rude awakening.
That's the beautiful game of football. Go ahead, Banji.
I would argue that I would understand if that would happen if it was earlier in the season. But now that we're 8 weeks into the season, we know Arnold's not to mess with. We've seen it from the first game where they upset Bay and then continued rolling. They beat So I think Coach Whitten is going to have these guys prepared, because I don't think he himself will let that ultimate high start to crash right now, because I think he's a man on a mission right now. He knows what standard he wants to be right now. He knows what level he wants to be at right now. And I think Mosley is going to try to make a statement, even though I talked with Coach Griffin after last week's 14-3 win over Fort Walton Beach, and he was just like, we're more focused on our district game against Rickards. Yes, we're playing for a Bay County championship. Yes, we're going to have our guys prepared, but we're more focused on the game that's going to matter for our postseason contention. And that's...
When is that, the next week?
Yeah, that's the following week. So I believe,
okay.
I'm not saying that Arnold isn't going to show up. Arnold is going to give them everything they have, but I do believe he's more focused on district game, because they're 1-1 in their district right now. If they get to 2-1, that could help them sneak into the postseason.
Are they in a 14 district, Arnold?
Arnold's, I believe so. It's Arnold, Rickards, Fort Walton Beach, and Choctaw.
Okay. Oh, that's a tough.
They lost to Choctaw, but they beat Fort Walton Beach.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, it's. Anybody that think that it's going to be similar to last year, that ain't going to happen. It ain't going to be similar to last year. I'd be surprised if Mosley beats them by 2 touchdowns or more. I just think it's going to be close. I think it may be low scoring, because apparently they have a really good defense. Talking about Arnold, and Mosley does too. Has probably a pretty explosive offense. But if you overlook them,
I got to be careful to not give out any bulletin board material right now.
If you overlook them, and throw in some turnovers or something, it could be a very close game. But we'll see. And I know you guys got to go. You're probably up against the break. But
5 minutes past, no big deal though.
Yeah.
We love you.
But anyways, I just thought Banji. Is it Banji?
Yes, sir.
Am I pronouncing that right? Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if he had more insight on the playoff seedings and stuff for this year, because it's for an average fan like me, it's hard to figure out until I hear you guys say how it played out.
And you can hear Banji every Wednesday right here with the Afternoon Underdogs. And you can also go to the Panama City News Herald, because once those things are cemented, they will be there in the News Herald, and we will be sharing those out, of course, here on the Afternoon Underdogs as well. Hey, Sean, thanks so much for the call, my man.
Yeah. Yep, you guys have a good show.
Hey, we appreciate you listening. I almost pulled that same, like you go to a restaurant or whatever, and they're like, enjoy your meal, you too. Anyways, we do got to get to a break. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for the Mosley Dolphins. We're going to keep it rolling with some Bay County football when we return, and we do got to jump over to Jackson County, because we've got to get an update on Amari Clemens. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, back in a jiff.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the radio home of the Mosley Dolphins.
Friday night, we're going under the lights as the 7-0 Dolphins face the surprising 6-2 Arnold Marlins. Tune in for live play-by-play from Tommy Oliver Stadium. Cover starts Friday at 6, kickoff at 7. Mosley Dolphin football on ESPN Northwest Florida is sponsored by Panama City Toyota, Orthopedic Specialists, and Chapman Wealth Management.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Wednesday. Clear skies tonight with a gentle breeze coming out of the northeast around 10 miles per hour and look for the low to be 51. Tomorrow morning, there will be sunshine with the temperature reaching 64. Sunny in the afternoon and evening with a wind around 11 miles per hour and a high of 71. Friday will have a high of 75 and sunshine. This weather is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Every love story deserves a perfect beginning. At Tracy's Fine Jewelry, we believe that your engagement ring should be as unique as your love. Explore our vast selection of certified natural and lab-created diamonds, each hand-picked for brilliance and beauty. Whether you desire the timeless allure of one of our hand-selected engagement rings, or you'd like to custom design the perfect ring, visit us today and let our experts guide you in finding the ring of her dreams, because love deserves the best. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, where love sparkles.
As a realtor, it's important who you choose as your title company. May we suggest South Oak Title? Their offices are modern, comfortable, and state-of-the-art. South Oak Title can close transactions in any location in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Their free mobile app allows realtors to deliver a net sheet in seconds. They provide mobile closing services to accommodate buyers and sellers. Their offices are beautifully decorated, state-of-the-art, complete, safe, and secure. South Oak Title, creating a better title and closing experience through technology and tailored service. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Hi, this is Orlando Magic guard Jalen Suggs. Listen for select Orlando Magic games right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to my boy David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs.
Pretty cool right there. Jaden Suggs from the Orlando Magic giving me a little shout out over there. Back to the Afternoon Underdog. Shout out to Bone Crusher for making that happen. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We are also streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitch. And you can always get the app. Just go to you can go to ESPNPC.com and listen to us, but go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store, type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, and take us with you wherever you go. It's David Hayes here with Chef Ross and with the Panama City News Herald sports writer, Banji Bomadella. Banji, we left off kind of talking a little bit about Bay right there. Let's go to Rutherford, a team who we knew that they were more talented than what their record indicated. A 53-0 win over a North Bay Haven team. Is North Bay Haven that good this year? Not as good as what especially Buccaneers fans would like them to be, but they've had a lot of turmoil that they've had to turn through this year. What does this win say about Rutherford, though?
It shows that they finally have the pieces together and that they're able to string together wins. They if they truly believe in what they have, they truly believe in what they're operating with. I mean, it all starts offensively, but it's their defense who is actually coming together nicely. They have a diamond in the rough in cornerback Braylon Hurd. He leads the county with 4 interceptions. He had a pick 6 last week. He's a little guy. He might be 5'7", 5'8", but they always put him on the number 1 receiver. I saw him against the Mariana team guard a 6'7" receiver and got a pass breakup. So this kid, he plays bigger than he is, and that's something that stuff like that, where you have the guys compete, the guys fight hard day in, day out. That's the key to Rutherford's success right now. Coach always says brick by brick. They're finally getting those bricks to build upon each other. They're building something special over there at Rutherford.
And when you have a process like that, brick by brick, you can't expect to get that wall built in a season or sometimes 2 seasons. But one of those bricks being built over there or that has been solidified is Jaleel Reed, and he's got quite a few more years to go here. And with the coaching staff that they have over there at Rutherford right now, I mean, I think that Rutherford's looking up, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm even excited to see more years of him because just his development over this season is incredible, because a freshman quarterback shouldn't be as calm and as poised as he is in the pocket. He's one who he would prefer to throw rather than run, but when he runs, he can get you when he runs. So he had 2 passing touchdowns last week and a rushing touchdown. He contributes in a variety of ways. I've seen him step up in the pocket. I've seen him take hits but still get the ball out. For a freshman quarterback, he's doing really well, and yeah, he's the center of that team. He's the leader just as a freshman. And great things are going to come out of that school, out of that program for sure.
And then one of the other games up there in Southport, Port St. Joe falling to Bozeman, what looked to be a very competitive ball game, 21-18 the final. What were some of your takeaways from that game?
I mean, shout out to Port St. Joe. They fight day in and day out. We know what kind of season it has been for them when you suffer a loss as big as they have. And to be out there still competing for each other, for your brothers, it's something special. Bozeman, they were able to score in the waning minutes of the game, and they pulled out the victory. But it's kind of in a way, Bozeman's season's kind of been up and down, and that game kind of showed how up and down their season has been. And one thing that stays consistent, though, is Lakota Johnson. He's a pure playmaker on the receiving game, running game, and as a quarterback. He does it all. He threw a touchdown. He caught a touchdown last week. So,
CMC.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of everything. Exactly. He's like a gadget player. He can do anything you want. He returns kicks for touchdowns. He's scored in every single way possible except on the defensive side.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only way he hasn't scored this year. But
what class is he?
I believe he's a senior.
Okay. Do we know if he has any offers or is? And again, I think, we talk about the Mosleys, we talk about the Bays, the Arnolds. I think it gets a little bit even harder when we're talking about the Bosemans and the North Bay Havens getting out of here for football. It's possible. We've seen it. I mean, Peyton Gay, the quarterback for Bozeman last year, walked on to Texas A&M, so anything is possible, like KG said. A team that's not here in Bay County, though, over there in Jackson County, Mariana Bulldogs. We talk about these undefeated teams, right? Mosley. Well, Mariana's also sitting at 8-0, and they have a stud over there in Amari Clemens. Can you give us an update on what's going on with our guy, Amari Clemens?
I mean, he had just, measly 12 carries, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns last week in a big victory.
Did he play the second half?
No.
He should have got to 200.
No.
He was slacking. He only got to 198.
I believe now he's on 1,500 rushing yards, 27 rushing touchdowns. So, I mean, he's on pace, I believe, for 2,030 he is a whole offense himself. And it's amazing just to think about what he's doing, what LaCavian's doing from the running back position. I thought running was a dead part of the offense.
Right.
Man, the running is back. Back.
Is this kid getting scouted?
Oh yeah, he's a 4-star ranked. He has Florida State, Miami, Florida, all those kind of offenses.
So the right names are after him.
Yes.
I wonder how much that has to do. See, with LoJack, there's a big difference. He wasn't playing football last year. He's actually from Ocala. So here's one of the most interesting things that I've heard from Coach Tommy Joe Whitten this year is LoJack last year was basically he was a team manager, essentially the water boy. And that's how much he bought into the program and what they're building over there with Amari. He's a senior, right? Junior, that's right. Yeah. So who knows where this is going to go for him. But he's had an opportunity to kind of build a brand here in this area. So I think that helps with the local schools a little bit there.
Another thing with him, though, he also, as a sophomore, he led the state in rushing. So that also helps. That also helps.
Oh, man. Let's go to Arnold. I mean, that's a big game as well. 14-3. 14-3 at halftime, I believe it was. So not a very busy game in the second half. What were your takeaways there from Arnold and Fort Walton Beach?
Arnold's defense, like Sean was saying earlier, Arnold's defense is legit.
Yeah.
It's legit. They have 2 of the top 5 tacklers in the state on defense. In Mac Jones, he has 123, and Evan Pickford, a safety, has 96 tackles. And it's incredible what they're doing. And I love how Coach Griffin, he never wants to take the credit himself. He says, my defensive coordinator, Kevin Pettis, he is the guy who has transformed that defense. He's also transformed them in the weight room as well. And Arnold, their offense has not been as great these past couple of weeks. He talks about that, how quarterback Will Carter kind of has shaky starts at the beginning of games. But last week, he ran in those 14 points were 2 rushing touchdowns by Will Carter. So, I mean, they have the offense, they have the weapons. Darren Elder is always a good weapon on the outside. They have the weapons to, score, but it's going to be interesting to see how they do against a Mosley-type team. And, just to see, I believe that game is going to be more competitive than people do think, but I'm just really interested in how they're going to attack it or what strategies they're going to use in that game.
And you also have to, I have to wonder, I have no idea what the outcome will be, but I have to wonder if Mosley does take a, 3-possession lead at some point, do they just start working on the clock for the rest of the game? And I don't know how much we actually see LoJack in this game. Do you think we see a heavy dose of LaKavian Jackson in the Mosley Arnold game?
I was actually thinking about that on my way here. I was just like, we might just see a heavy dose of Sammy Chisholm.
Yeah.
I was thinking, because that's how it's been all season, really. Right. So I think because of Niceville, because of the competition, they like, once they saw what LoJack gets 10 yards every carry, of course we're going to use him. But Sammy Chisholm's going to go back to being the lead back, and I believe he's a hard, strong runner. Just for his little size, he can run over people, and I think that's how Mosley's probably going to attack that one. Quarterback Sammy Freitas,
he had over 100 rushing yards himself, didn't he?
The way he runs, and we're like, please slide.
Yes, so I'll be thinking the same thing sometimes. Like, okay, buddy, like we know that you got the courage and you got what it takes, you got the willpower, but bro, get down. Get down.
Like, some of the hits he takes, I'm like, bro, running back should be taking those, not you.
Yes.
But yeah, he had over 100 yards rushing last week as a quarterback. So, I mean, I love that about him, how his game is versatile, but please, Sammy, slide sometimes, man.
and even Sammy Chisholm last week averaging 9 yards a carry on 5 carries, and I just love the way that the pace changes up. I mean, when I think about this, well, Sammy Freitas had 17 carries, so it's just when you see 12 carries for LaKavian Jackson, which I thought it was 14, so I guess the numbers have updated over here because it's also saying 213 yards, but 12 carries for LoJack, 1 carry for Jack Massey, who didn't get a whole lot of touches in that game, and we've been accustomed to seeing a lot of Jack Massey, and then 5 carries for Sammy Chisholm. It felt like they ran a lot more plays than what those numbers indicate there. But before we get to a break and then come back and talk about the games coming up this week, Banji's Baller of the Week. Who is Banji's Baller of the Week?
It's LoJack, man. It's LoJack. Against a 8th-ranked team in the state, you put on 5 touchdowns to give your team the victory. That last one, that 5th one, I had my hands on my head because I did not understand how when he rounds the corner.
Yeah. It's like north to south, but with LoJack, it's like, all right, if you need to go east to west for a second, we'll trust in you, man. We were going wild up in the booth. I had to tell my buddy, like, hey, take your headset off. We gotta try not to peek as much as we can. Banji's Baller of the Week is LoJack. Is there any changes in the power rankings, in Banji's power rankings? I believe we had North Bay Haven. I believe it was
Rutherford, but I have Bozeman at 5, I have Rutherford at 4, Bay at 3, Arnold at 2, Mosley at 1.
All right, there you go. So that's the power rankings and the Baller of the Week. When we get back, we're going to preview all of the games coming up this week. If you got any questions for Banji, text them in to us, 850-215-6290. That is also the same number to call. We'll be right back in about 2 minutes.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for college football and the Auburn Tigers.
He dives! He's in! Touchdown Auburn!
We heard you, Tiger fans. So this season, we're airing every single game. And you can take that to the bank.
It's picked off in the end zone!
Plus, the biggest games in the SEC and around the country play here on your official station for college football, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Wednesday. Clear skies tonight with a gentle breeze coming out of the northeast around 10 miles per hour and look for the low to be 51. Tomorrow morning, there will be sunshine with the temperature reaching 64. Sunny in the afternoon and evening with a wind around 11 miles per hour and the high of 71. Friday, we'll have a high of 75 and sunshine. This weather is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hewitt Tire and Auto and Hometown Towing is a combination that's hard to beat. With years and years of experience in vehicle repair, foreign and domestic, name brand tires and fair prices have established Hewitt Tire and Auto as a leader that folks can call on again and again. And if you need a tow, call Hometown Towing at 850-265-1562. Hewitt Tire and Auto and Hometown Towing, an unbeatable combination. Airport Road, Panama City. The cult classic film Ghostbusters is celebrating their 40th anniversary, and Krispy Kreme is joining the celebration by offering 4 inspired donuts, plus a new drink. There's the Ghostbuster cookies and cream made with Oreo donut, the Slimer donut, an Ecto sprinkled donut, a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man donut, and the new Slimer Slimeade drink. So, who you gonna call? Krispy Kreme Donuts, that's who. In front of HCA Hospital, 23rd Street, Panama City, and the Ross Clark Circle in Dothan since 1937, where you get them hot.
You want a big-time sports show? Tune in for the Afternoon Underdogs.
We're live and local here.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
We need one more SEC team in there to shake things up.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back in the doghouse. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. It's David Hayes, Chef Ross, and Banji Bomadella, who is the sports writer for the Panama City News Herald. And we've been talking high school football here for the last hour, and we're going to keep it rolling. If you have any questions, again, text them in to 850-215-6290. Now, some of these teams are looking to stay fly, so let's start it off with Arnold and Mosley, player to watch for each team and what each team needs to do to secure the victory. We'll start with Arnold here.
Arnold, it definitely has to be Will Cotter, quarterback Will Cotter. Similar to when Arnold went into Bozeman, he rose above everything. He had 5 touchdowns that game to help get the victory. Coach needs to inspire him once again to have a big game, and I believe if he has a big game from the quarterback position, don't turn the ball over because he is susceptible to that. Keep the running games going smoothly and, getting those passes out in a timely manner and staying focused. I think quarterback Will Cotter will definitely have to be the guy for Arnold. And then for Mosley, it's going to be Sammy Chisholm because I believe they're going to use him. They're going to run the ball. He might end up with 20 carries this game because I believe that they're going to try their best to, I know it's the latter end of the season. They're going to try their best to kind of get Arnold done with quickly in a way where they're going to just try to preserve their starters. So I do believe that running back Sammy Chisholm is going to set the pace from the running back position.
You mentioned earlier that Coach Griffin, not that they're looking beyond this game, but that the district championship means more to the Bay County championship. So my question for you, Banji, is who does this particular game mean more to? Just off your feelings.
It's going to have to be Mosley because I think, Mosley needs to preserve. We've seen with FHSAA, they really don't like Mosley, I believe.
Mostly because of the strength of the schedule, right?
Exactly. So Mosley cannot afford to even lose this game or even be within 3 points of this game. I do believe Mosley has to win this game. And I think it's going to mean more to them, not just because it's a Bay County championship, but because of the implications for later in the season.
There you go. I think that's a wonderful way to put it. Let's move on to Rutherford and Bozeman here. A player to watch. We'll start with the away team in all of these games. Player to watch from Rutherford for this particular game and how they could come away with the victory.
For Rutherford, it's going to be Chaston Scott. He has been rolling. He's been scoring these past 2 games that they've gotten victories in, and he's hard back to take down. He runs hard, and he is the lead back for Rutherford. And for Bozeman, it's going to be Lakota Johnson. He is a weapon running back, wide receiver, and even that quarterback. If they figure out a way to get him going early from the return game, wide receiver position, even running back, they're going to have great success on the offensive side. But something about this game where Bozeman scraped the win versus Port St. Joe while Rutherford dominated Port St. Joe, I'm just very curious to see, will Rutherford, because Rutherford is rolling right now, will they be able to steamroll over Bozeman?
There you go. And for Bozeman, a player that we're going to look out for and how they could reverse the tables and get a win in this game.
I would also say running back Caleb Williams, he's been rolling as well, and him along with Jaden Spurlock, they've been the guys at the running back position who have been able to get those extra yards, extend drives, and Coach Sweat loves to win the battle in the trenches, and I do believe that if they are able to win the offensive battle in the trenches, they're going to be able to score as much as they want against Rutherford. Rutherford's a team where we've seen them struggle against the run.
There you go. We'll move on to Marianna at Holmes County. I know we normally don't highlight these games, but when you got an 8-0 team, I think you got to take notice of that. Who is the player to watch for the Bulldogs of Marianna?
I'd be remiss if I didn't say Amari Clemens, would I not? Because I mean, he's averaging 200 yards per game rushing, and one thing about Holmes County too, they love to run the football too, and they run with plenty of backs. So it's going to be definitely a drag out run fest, and that's going to more than likely favor Marietta because RJ Mays, their quarterback, loves to run as well. So it's going to be interesting to see who ends up stopping. It's whoever gets a turnover on defense will probably win that game, because with games like that where you're evenly matched in, especially offensively, whichever defense can get the advantage on the opposing offense will probably end up winning that game.
Now, has Marietta clinched their district?
Yes, they swept all the Bay County teams in their district and have won it when they defeated North Bay Haven.
All right, so there you go. So more than likely hosting a play. Again, we don't know these things. We don't know these things, but it just feels if you go 10-0, you should be hosting, right? Or let's just make all these things neutral sites. Let's just take them all up to Texas, over there to Texas, and we'll just play it over there. How about, do you have a player to watch for Holmes County?
No, they just have the stable of running backs.
I like that. That's the stable of running backs.
Yes, sir.
All right, Bay at Walton. How big is this game for Bay?
In terms of just, like Sean was saying earlier, this could have an implication on them hosting, but it's not a district game. It's just a game that this will be a good game just to see how they are testing the waters, because they've been recently they've went against two Pensacola teams. They were kind of iffy with one of them, but I do believe this is just a good confidence game, I believe, for Bay. And also it's quality competition. Walton is no one to mess with. They have a stud over there at quarterback.
So, player to watch for this game for Bay?
For Bay, I would definitely say it depends, because they coach hasn't named a starting quarterback since Xavier Morgan went down last week and the sophomore came in, John Devo. So whichever one is starting at quarterback, they're going to be the player to watch, and that's going to be something I'm going to be keen on too, because John DeVos, he stepped in there real well. He threw an interception, but he recovered, ran for a touchdown, threw a touchdown. I believe if Xavier, starts, he was great as well. He was dealing. He got a touchdown pass to Joaquin Waters, so he was dealing as well. So I believe the offense can keep up with Walton.
Is Knowles no longer a part of the starting quarterback equation?
No, he's transformed to a defensive end, and he's doing a great job at defensive end.
Man, it's funny that you say that, because quarterback to defensive end it seems like one of those ones that you're like, whoa, that's a weird transition, if you will, but for Mosley, one of the reasons that we saw Jack Massey and Carson Griffin is because not only Landon Hawthorne wasn't playing in that game, but early in the season, Talon Moore goes down, and he was a quarterback last year. So it's normally when I think of quarterbacks, I think of them going to, if they've got somewhat of good hands or at least can use them as as blockers, then I like to see them going to that safety position there. But that's interesting, going from getting rushed at all the time to now putting the pressure on the quarterback. So I did not know that, and that's why we have Banji Bombadella, the Panama City News Herald.
It's got to feel great to go from being hit to smoking the other team's quarterback too.
Oh yeah, and Nopal's a big guy. He's 6'2", 215. I don't know about safety. I don't think he'd be fast enough for safety, but right good on the line.
Oh, no doubt about it. Franklin County, Port St. Joe. Give me a player to watch from Port St. Joe in this game and how the Tiger Sharks could come out victorious.
I'd definitely say Darian Bryant. He's the running back over there. He was able to score some over Bozeman last week, and he's playing with the heart on his sleeve like they all are. They're playing hard, and I do believe Franklin County is a tough team to play against, but I do believe Port St. Joe, they'll give it their all. That's something that they've been doing all year, and they wanted to play for chance. So I believe that they're going to give it their best. They're going to try the best to run the ball, because that's what they love to do. They love to run the football.
So what all teams are we looking at right now that are still fighting for a postseason position of the Bay County teams? Of
the Bay County teams, I'd definitely say Arnold is fighting, because if they beat Rickards next week, they'll be 2-1 in their district.
Gotcha.
So they'll be second place in their district. And
so Bay and Mosley have locked up, right?
Bay and Mosley have locked up their district championships. Rutherford has an outside chance. Like Coach Floyd was talking about it on the local sports podcast last week, that if they beat Bay, who is a district champion, that could somehow fluctuate and get them somewhere in the seeding. But like you said, it's an outside chance.
Speaking of outside, we'll go outside perspective here. You being from the metro Atlanta area, what do you consider to be the biggest rivalry here when it comes to the sport of football here in Bay County?
Biggest rivalry?
Because I think that it goes different ways. I think each team's view each other in different ways, but I didn't know if maybe when you're at these games, like, oh yeah, this is a different environment than others, because I think you can make the argument for Mosley Niceville, but that's not two Bay County teams, you know.
I mean, from what I've seen this season, I would definitely say Mosley Bay was the biggest rivalry in terms of even after the game. Yeah. Even when they were shaking hands, they weren't really shaking hands. But I think we might see the biggest one when Bay and Rutherford meet at the end of the season. That one, I think, that one has a build up for it. It's not going to be pretty, I don't think. They're going to be trying to bust some heads that game. So.
It's also funny, too, because each sport, I think you notice, like, different schools have different types of rivalry. So when it comes to football, Mosley and Bay have a big one because Coach Jeremy Brown, was the previous coach before Coach Tommy Joe Whidden over there at Mosley. So that just like ignited a rivalry right there. And then Bay and Rutherford, being that they're so close in proximity, then you've got Bay and Arnold now because of the Battle of the Bridge, and it's just one of those things. And that's sometimes where it's like, if Mosley wasn't on and when I say pedestal, I don't mean it's because they have more kids there. They've got more size. They've got more, to an extent, resources. So it's one of those things where one day they're all going to, I think Bay, Arnold, Rutherford, they're all trending in the right direction, So, and kudos to what Coach Tommy Joe Whidden is building over there at Mosley, though. And that's not because I call the games for him. It's because I see what they're doing, and they've got the hype videos. They've got the LED lights, all of that crazy stuff. It's like you feel like you're at a college game for a little bit.
Oh, yeah. It was brave of them to play that hype video against Niceville. Yeah. That's brave.
Oh, man. You had to, they was locked in. They were locked, and I was really proud of them because after that 2-point conversion, I know we talked about this earlier, but after that failed 2-point conversion, and then some of the other miscues, if you will, like Sammy Freitas, this is no knock on him. It's just is what it is. At some point in time, trying to play a little hero ball, there was a interception in the end zone. Well, maybe you throw that ball away, or just if you are going to throw it away, throw it out of the end zone. And then late in the game, I felt like they ran a little option there, and the game should have been each other, right? Oh, there was that one as well, but there was also one, I believe, didn't he fumble late in the game where where that should have been a give to LoJack, but it's one of those where, well, maybe they're expecting Locavion to get it, so I'll just keep it myself and we'll make it easy. And that's the game of football, though, and that's what I was pleased with is resiliency. You can get down, and every time that you got up in that game until the final touchdown, essentially, right? It was Niceville's coming right back to answer, and it was very simple how Niceville was doing it, right? Oh, yeah. Johnny Lewis Jr. around the outside. Johnny Lewis Jr. around the outside. And kudos to Mosley's defense in that sense, because it was a bend, don't break type deal. I don't know how many times they got him in 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and long, and here come the Dolphins making a big stop, or here comes Niceville taking the lead again. So it was just a wild football game.
Oh, yeah. And Coach Whidden, I feel like he saw my article. I had Mosley winning by 10, but him going for that 2-point and failing, they only end up winning by 9. So if he just hit the field goal, I would have been a perfect prediction. But, anyway, Coach Whidden.
Anyway. Oh, man, it's kind of fun putting those predictions out there, and you really do a great job. I know that all of the schools around here are very thankful for what it is that you're doing. It's been a while since we've had consistent newspaper coverage, and I think the relationships that you're building with all of the news stations, and then us here at ESPN Northwest Florida. I can't tell you how much I'm thankful for you, man, and just being able to have the articles that we can go and pick up at any time and check that stuff out. It's nice, and then seeing you in person, you're like, oh, this guy actually cares. This isn't just him like, all right, well, I'm here to make a paycheck. It's like, nah, you enjoy this sport.
I love this sport.
I love it, man. Biggest game of the college football week for you?
Ooh.
Georgia, Texas is the obvious answer, but what is it for Banji?
I would actually say Alabama, Tennessee is bigger for me.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Who you got winning?
Ooh. I have Tennessee winning.
All right. Well, roll Tide, but
it'll never. I'm from Georgia. We don't. It's never roll Tide. No. It's never roll Tide.
What Georgia, Texas though? What do you think about that game?
It's Georgia's not it this year. It's an off year for Georgia. I don't think Texas rolls them, but I think Texas wins.
Ohio State, Oregon this last weekend, the whole ending to the game. What do you make of the way Dan Lanning went about it, or the lack of knowledge for Ryan Day?
Ryan, see, this is why I only talk high school, because if y'all wanted my college takes, I think Ryan Day is a fraud. So, I'm not shocked.
But no one's going to come at you for talking about that. They might come at you if you.
Ryan Day's a fraud, so I'm not surprised he didn't know about that. Like, to be honest, Ohio State, they've always been frauds to me. I mean, but it's whatever. I think he came from Georgia. He was at DC at Georgia.
Yeah, he's got Bama ties too, man. So I think Bama and Georgia people, I think we both root for Dan Lanning over there in Oregon.
Why are you a Bama man? Why are you?
That's how I was raised. That's how my dad was. Okay. So it's by birth. But Banji, we're out of time. Chef Ross, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Again, Banji Bomandela, he is a sports writer for the Panama City News Herald. You got the Coach James Hale Show coming up at 7 in the morning. The Inside Drive back at 11, and then we'll see you guys back tomorrow at 4. Y'all have a great afternoon. Be safe. Buckle up. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
We're up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Hurricane Helene.
And breaking weather as it happens.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
ESPN.